Hello and welcome to a video on how to repair the Sega Genesis Model 1. One thing a lot of people have been having trouble with is turning the console on, the console not having any power. What you want to do is you want to check these voltage regulators. These are 7805 voltage regulators or 5-volt regulators. You can get these at Radio Shack. You can get these online as well. They're pretty cheap. A lot of times what they'll have is one of the legs broken off, discoloration, burnt marks everywhere. You also get burnt marks on the plate. Go ahead and replace these if they're bad, if you notice it, or they look like they're bad. There's a lot of pictures online that'll show you how they look when they're bad. There's also a lot of tutorials online where you can check or test these as well on the breadboard. You can pull these out, test them, make sure they're good or not. Put them back in if they're good, or if you just want to replace them, put new ones, put new compound in the back. You go ahead and do that. Another thing that can be the problem is your power jack. Make sure the power jack it's not broken, cracked, or anything like that. Make sure the solder joints are good at the bottom. You can probably reflow them just to make sure. Reflow the bottom, add some more solder if needed. So make sure nothing is broken inside. Make sure everything's sturdy. Another thing that could be the problem too is your switch. A lot of people don't think about this, but the switch could also break as well. So make sure that the switch clicks and make sure there's resistance in it. Normally that'll show that it's a good switch. A lot of times you could desolder it, remove it, and use an ohm tester and test the connections and hit the switch, make sure it's making contact there. So you could test that. There's a lot of tutorials on how to test switches online as well. But as long as there's some resistance in there and it clicks, a lot of times the switch is good. Those are the only problems with powering on. Another issue with powering on would be if there's any liquid damage anywhere on the board. So you got to go ahead and check for liquid damage. I do have a video on how to clean the board. Check it out, it's on my channel, and I recommend doing that before troubleshooting anything else. Alright, another issue people are having is that the console will power on, but there's no video out or no audio out. One thing you want to check is make sure your connection is well connected to the RF out or the AV out connector. Make sure they're really well connected on there. Alright. After that, you want to make sure none of the cables are ripped. You want to check your RF connector and your AV out connector. Make sure all the way out to the TV. There's no breaks in the actual wire. Make sure it fits snug on your TV as well. Another thing you want to check is you want to make sure these pins are not dirty. You could go on my channel. There's a video on how to clean the Sega Genesis that'll show you how to clean those pins. And go ahead and check out that video. Clean these pins out if you're having that issue, and then retry everything again. If it works, great. If not, let's follow the next one. The next one you're gonna have if you're having video issues or audio issues, you might want to check these capacitors here. Make sure none of them are blown. Make sure none of them are leaking. And if any are, you replace them. Most of the time that's going to fix the actual issue. So make sure you check all these capacitors here. Most of the time that's going to be your fix for no video or no audio out. A lot of people are having issues with where they play the console for a certain amount of time and it shuts off completely. A lot of times it's going to be these voltage regulators. What happens is they overheat. Easy fix for that is you could go down to Radio Shack, get some of this heatsink compound and put a bunch of it in the very back of these and put the plate back on, put some on the plate as well. Make sure there's quite a bit on there so the heat transfer is really easy between the plate and the voltage regulator. Another thing why the system will power down as well is if any of the caps are bad as well. So you want to make sure a lot of these caps are not leaking, make sure they're not damaged or they're well connected to the board. Alright, a lot of problems that people are having is not able to reset your console. Here's a button here. This button you can actually buy online. You could also buy it at Radio Shack. All you do is remove this button here, desolder it, and then solder a new one. That's an easy fix for the reset. Also make sure there's no liquid damage anywhere around the button as well. Alright, another problem people are having is this lever here. Sometimes the lever sticks, and the reason is there's a lot of dust that accumulates over time around this rail here. So what you want to do is you want to get a Q-tip You want to run it across this rail here, move this over to the side, run here and the back side as well. After you do that, you want to put some lubrication. I use this stuff here from Radio Shack. It's a few bucks, and all you do is like put it on the rail, to put 2-3 drops there, and another 2-3 drops in the back. Slide it up and down. Make sure you get enough lubrication in there. If it happens to run, make sure you wipe it down. It doesn't get on any other components. We just keep going up and down until it feels really smooth. Alright, I went over the most common issues on the Sega Genesis Model 1. But if there's any issues you are having and this video did not resolve any of them, please leave it in the comments below. I will get back to you. I do read all the comments on here. And thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.